Hi folks, Mary here, and it is time for week one. And you've already had a busy week one with the introduction and discussion boards and signing a safety agreement, ordering your box, getting your box unpacked, making sure you've got all your bits and pieces. But the information for week one is the metric system and measurement. So it's not a real high content in physics information this week, but we're laying the groundwork of things that you're really going to need to know for the whole rest of the semester. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Canvas right now, and we are going to walk through Module 1, and I want to kind of point out the highlights of some of the things that are important in Module 1. And we're not going to take as much time every week, but in the beginning, people have a lot of questions. So here goes. Now, as we talked about, you start with Module 1, the beginning, there are those notes, the PowerPoints you can download if you choose. Otherwise, you can take notes on paper. Here are the lecture videos. So we're going to start out with a little bit of the history of physics, difference between fact, law, and theory. Then we're going to go into some information on the metric system and how to convert between the metric system. Now, depending upon the last science class or math class you had, some of you, this is common knowledge and you remember this because you just had it. Maybe you had chemistry last semester. In order to make sure you are prepared for this class, I have a non-graded assignment, and this non-graded assignment is right here. There are some practice problems converting. Do them, don't do them. I only ask that you be your own best friend. The assignment is given, the answers are attached. Do a couple of them to make sure you know how to convert within the metric system, because that is a skill you must have to survive physics. After you've done that, please watch the video on precision, accuracy, and significant figures, important ideas in all of science. How do you read equipment precisely and accurately? And how do you calculate with a correct number of significant digits? It's a big deal in science, and so please give this your kind attention. When you're done with that, and you go to the next page is our study guide. Now, let's spend a moment or two talking about study guides in general. Every module we go through is going to have a study guide. The study guides are going to be the ideas portion of physics. There's a mathematical portion, and then there's an ideas portion. So the study guides are your place to practice the ideas. The purpose is to take the information that has been presented in the notes and in the textbook and allow you to push it through your brain one more time. The information is asked in a question format. It is by topic, and it's put in the same order that the lecture videos are. Probably 80% of the answers can be found from the videos. I try and give you some hints, like where do you find them? Notes in chapter 1 in your textbook, in chapter 1 of your textbook, and online, because we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the scientific method, but it's something I expect you to know. But you have been around a few years, so I figured you've probably been through that in other classes. Fact, law, and theory, we spent a whole PowerPoint lecture on that. And you can do this one of two ways. You can print it, write your answers in, scan the document, and then submit it, while other students prefer to type their answers in, save it, and submit it into Canvas that way. So when it comes to the study guide, you can either save this for review and do it after you've watched all the videos, while other students like to print it and work on it as they watch the videos. Please use whichever technique suits your learning style best. Besides the study guide, there is also typically every chapter a mathematical assignment. Now, for the very first chapter, the mathematical assignment is all going to be about converting units. Again, this may totally be review if you have had an awful lot of math classes recently. When I say converting units, I mean pounds to kilograms, miles per hour to kilometers per hour, that kind of converting. So if you feel 100% confident in the skill, I am okay with you skipping videos if you go, Mary, I know all this stuff. I just had tech math last semester. I get it. I totally get that. But I want everybody to prove it to me by doing one converting worksheet. Now, one converting worksheet, so print this, And I want to see your work. You always have to show me your work because of the fact, whoop, that's not it. The converting worksheet, I'll get the right one up here. I have everything sort of preloaded here. Still getting the wrong one. Yeah, well, you know, Mary's more human than she wants to admit on most days. Is this it? Metric practice is just really wants you to practice the metric system, doesn't it? I bet this is it. There we go. Practicing converting units. These are divided by kinds of conversions. You must show your work. It's easiest to do this on lined paper, so you certainly don't have to fit it in this tiny, weeny little space here. And that paper and all of the work must be shown for a grade. Scan it in, submit it via Canvas. Now I want you to know if you're doing it right. So the right answers are included. And if you are good at converting, this should be easy. If you're a little nervous about converting and you go, Mary, I'm frightened already because this is not something I'm terribly good at. Down here, it says Converting Worksheet Key. And if you click on this, this document comes up. I have done all of the work and you can take a look at it because maybe you set it up on paper perfectly, but you don't get exactly the same answer. Well, maybe you just didn't put the numbers in your calculator right. And I want you to have something to compare to. So one of the challenges when you're at a distance is you need all the resources that you physically can get. Now, if you are really nervous about converting units, I have provided you with extra practice. You do not have to do these, but there's extra worksheets and keys for people who are nervous about converting units. So those are at the bottom of this page. After converting units, eventually at the end of this module, we're going to have a converting units quiz. But I highly encourage you to take the converting units practice quiz, and here's why. On the converting units quiz that you're going to take, I have included some wacky units. You're going to convert, well, the quiz contains animals like zebras to elephants and elephants to giraffes and giraffes to dogs, that kind of conversion. For the practice quiz, I'm giving you rocks to stones, stones to pebbles, pebbles to specks. Now, why did I make up wacky units? Because I'm not stupid. And I know that human beings know how to work Google and know how to work the internet and know how to convert online. And I want to test your ability to actually do weird and crazy conversions. So I highly encourage you to take the practice test before you go forth and take the actual converting units quiz, which is going to be at the end of module 1. And that is going to be converting with wacky units. So please take that practice test so you don't look befuddled when you take that quiz. Once a week, we're going to have a lab. And our lab this week is going to be on the metric system and measurement. You're going to use lots of your lovely equipment that you got in your box. It's not going to be a typical physics lab. It is going to be much more like the purpose of this week's lab is to push the metric system into your subconscious. You are going to use the measuring tape and the ruler and graduated cylinders and all these variety of different things. And I want you to have a better understanding of the metric system when you walk away from the lab than when you start, and practice converting the metric system and doing a whole variety of conversions. So you're going to start by measuring some parts of your body, measuring the length of one of your steps. You're going to do a scavenger hunt around your home, find some, and use the little balance that came in your kit to find some things that have a mass of about 1 gram. You're going to show me the conversions from pounds to kilograms of your weight. You are going to do some work with volume. What is your favorite mug or water bottle, and describe it. Using the equipment provided, find the volume of water when you fill that up. Then we are going to ask you to do kind of a scavenger hunt for things that have a volume of about 1 milliliter. I'm going to ask you to convert some common speeds. meters per second, miles per hour into meters per second, and then a weird conversion, this velocity of a glacier. We're going to talk about the metric system and water. And I'm going to get you using those graduated cylinders and beakers that came in your kit to mass some water, look at volumes and measurements a couple different ways, see which kind of measuring equipment is the most accurate, calculate the percent difference, percent error between those two different pieces of equipment. I'm going to ask you to convert some squares and cubes. And then last but not least, after doing this entire lab, my quest is to ask you to see if you can determine, if I give you a measurement in the metric system, if something is reasonable or unreasonable. If I say a jelly bean has a volume of about 1 milliliter, is that logical? Does that make sense? If you say, holy buckets, no, I think a jelly bean has a volume of 93 milliliters, well, then that's not logical. If you go, no, a jelly bean's about the size of and that is about 1 milliliter, yeah, that makes sense. I don't want you to convert all these. I want you to think them through. All right, so when you're done with this, you're going to fill this in and then scan it, and upload that into Canvas. One more thing about labs before we're done here, and that is you're going to see throughout labs this. You're going to see little numbers, usually on the right-hand side, and they're going to be scattered through all labs. And you're going to ask yourself, what's that? That is point value. When I grade labs, labs are always worth 20 points, and that is the approximate value of the bits right above it. That allows me to fairly distribute the points throughout the lab, so I don't have to remember how many points is this part of the lab and how many points is that part of the lab. I write it right in the lab. That is the minimum amount of points that I can take off. I reserve the right to take off more points if people do really goofy stuff. But for example, if this says 1 point, that's basically for all of this stuff in here. Multiple questions. So I kind of scatter it around and make sense of it. Those are my grading marks, honestly. All right. Well, that should do it. And that should get you through, I hope, week 1. And as always, if you get questions as the week unfolds, please ask. And I'm here to help. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.